Let the way of the heart shine through. Love upon love upon love. Our hearts are beating as one. Light upon light upon light, shining as bright as the sun. Let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart shine through. Love upon love upon love. Our hearts are beating as one. Light upon light upon light, shining as bright as the sun. Let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart shine through.
Good morning, everybody. I am not Rosie Klein, in case you were curious. I'm not that cute. So, my name is Donald Green, and on behalf of Rev Donna Maurer and the Board of Trustees, it's my privilege to welcome you here to Sonoran Desert Center for Spiritual Living. Whoever you are and wherever you are on your spiritual path, here you are truly welcomed. You'll be validated, supported, and encouraged to be all that you were meant to be. Our vision statement is love in action every day and every way. We express this love by learning and living the principles of the science of mind. You'll find the declaration of principles on the back of your program. If you'd please read these with me. I believe there is an infinite intelligence operating throughout the universe. I believe this intelligent power is only good. I believe this intelligence expresses as me. I believe through my conscious use of this power, I'll create my life as happy, healthy, and complete. And so it is. And I would say by looking over the audience today, that's exactly what you're doing. You're a beautiful group of people. And a beautiful day that we have. Cool but beautiful. If this is your first time here, we especially welcome you and thank you for your interest and curiosity. Do we have anyone here for the first time? Any first timers? No? Okay. Those yourself. If anybody has with them a telephone or some other device, if you'd please silence those at this time. Namaste.
power and the grace. I can feel the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of love is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of love is in this place.
Good morning. I am John Lopez, one of the practitioners here at our Amado Center for Spiritual Living, and it's my pleasure to be your of the day today. So won't you join me in our opening invocation? I invite you to close your eyes and know with me that we are gathered here today on this beautiful day that God has made, in the one mind and the one spirit, that we are all here of like mind, knowing that today we celebrate our perfect service, which is already a divine idea in the mind of God. And there are blessings for Rev Donna and the inspired words which she gives us today, and through our wonderful music as it flows into and as and through our music director, Heather O'Day. I'm so grateful for this truth. I'm so grateful knowing that today's service is already perfect, whole, and complete. And we anchor this together by saying, and so it is. All right. So when looking for today's reading, I was wondering what I could possibly talk about. And again, just as the universe always seems to demonstrate right when you need it, I just happen to be teaching a class right now called the Essential Ernest Holmes. And looking through the lessons, I came upon this section called Spiritual Financial Integrity. Well, what do you know? And it starts out with a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Money, which represents the prose of life, and which is hardly spoken of in parlors without an apology, is in its effects and laws as beautiful as roses. So, of all the aspects of life, it can seem the most difficult to integrate ideas of money and spirituality. Our desire to live a deeply spiritual life can seem to be at odds with money, which is, after all, an invention of man. We bristle over requests for money from our churches, wrestle with our personal checkbooks to see how to make our money grow, ponder over requests from others to give our money for good causes, and argue over money in our business affairs, with our spouses, with ourselves. And in better moments, pray over the words of the scriptures. See the lilies of the field. They neither toil nor spin. Yet even Solomon, in all his glory, was ever arrayed like one of these. Ernest Holmes says, God is spirit. Spirit is substance, and substance is supply. This is the keynote to the realization of a more abundant life, to the demonstration of success in all financial matters. It is right we should be successful, for otherwise the Spirit is not expressed. The divine cannot lack for anything that makes life worthwhile here on earth. The spiritual practice of sacred giving begins with the recognition that it is part of our nature to not only receive, but to give. Your inner life deepens when you make a conscious plan to give, and you experience the great satisfaction of being part of the flow of life. When you give, of course, or when you receive, of course you give back to yourself, paying your bills, buying food, shelter, the necessities of life. You can also give back to yourself by setting aside money for savings for your future. But the inner question to ask is, how can I use my money to create a difference in the world? Is there a new undertaking of value that you would like to support? Can you give to those doing good work in the world? Will you give to your spiritual community to continue to support those that support your inner life? Are there things you can do, giving your time, your talent, to make a difference for others, for our world? Find out for yourself the great blessing of sacred giving. For only as we allow the divine current to flow through us and out that we really express life. Namaste.
They say you can't take it with you when you go, no. So I'm gonna just enjoy myself, go with the flow. My money is like money, it goes forth and multiplies. I send it out and let it go, it comes back to me in time. My joy is overflowing, I know God is my source. My money is like a bunny, it goes forth and multiplies. Talk about that money. Come on now. My money is like a bunny, it goes forth and multiplies. I send it out, let it go, comes back to me in time. My joy is overflowing, I know God is my source. My money is like a bunny, it goes forth and multiplies. They say you can't take it with you when you go, no. So I'm gonna just enjoy myself, go with the flow.
All right. Here comes the chance to do it right along with us. You ready? Come on. Here
is like a bunny, goes forth and multiplies. Send it out, let it go, it comes back to me in time. Every time my joy is overflowing, I know God is my source. My money is like a bunny, goes forth and multiplies. Goes on forth and multiplies. Woo!
Oh yeah.
My money is like a bunny, it goes forth and multiplies. Send it out, let it go, comes back to me in time. My joy is overflowing, I know God is my source. My money is like a bunny, it goes forth and multiplies. My money can't take it when you go. Here comes Peter Cottontail, hopping down that money trail. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly.
Okay. Well, good morning. So special thanks to Heather and our Money Bunnies. This is kind of the official kickoff of our 2021-22 annual pledge campaign, and we're calling it the Heart of the Matter. So I chose as our topic today, Money Matters, because I think it's appropriate, because as John said, money is often at the core of our concerns or worries. I found a study that rated money matters as the #1 reason for divorce, outranking lack of intimacy, infidelity, and abuse. So it's apparent that money matters hugely in marriages, and money matters in a center like ours. You know, we are spiritual beings living in a material world, and that material world is fueled by money as energy. So we have bills to pay, even when we are not using the center. We have bills to pay, even when snowbirds go away for the summer. We have bills to pay, even when the pandemic is causing many members to stay at home. And we have obligations to the recipients of our tithe money in our community. And we have obligations to help support our home office. So money does matter to us as a spiritual family if we are to keep and maintain our spiritual home. And I know that we all know this, and I'm preaching to the choir, but our sharing means more than having a place to go on Sundays. As our money bunnies told us, my joy is overflowing and I know God is my source. My money is like a bunny, it goes forth and multiplies. So there's a reciprocity in our giving. What goes out from us as money to be used for good creates in us an overflowing joy which brings more good back to us. So that is the law of divine circulation. That's the way it works. I found a little pamphlet in my files by Philip Smedstead, who talked about his journey to tithing 10% to his church. And he began by making a commitment to give 5%, even though he was having trouble making ends meet, and wondered how his lifestyle could absorb the added expense. He said his fears were dissipated by the good feelings that he had. And he said they were twofold. In Philip's own words, he said, first, I knew I was doing something very concrete to demonstrate my faith in God. And second, and somewhat unexpected, was the feeling of claiming my part in the success of the church I loved. I had an experience of the difference between making a donation, something I could spare, and making a contribution, something included in my monthly financial planning. It made me feel like I was much more a part of the church, and that when someone's life was changed by learning its principles, I was one of those making it possible. So Philip found that overflowing joy and raised his 5% pledge to 10%, and even then he experienced having more money and not less, as he had originally feared. But what I loved about his story was how he felt he was making a difference in the lives of other people, that he moved from making a donation to making a contribution where we give from our heart. And that's really what our pledge campaigns have always been about. We get funny and silly, and those of you who haven't been around for one of them, you don't know what I'm talking about, but we get pretty raucous, and we have a good time. But the real deep down part of this is that you and I, through a conscious and prayerful decision, become partners so that our contributions make a difference to both us and in the lives of other people. And how can we feel anything other than overflowing joy when we know this? Each of us is making a contribution toward the success of our center, not just with money, but with the giving of our time and our talents. Together, we're providing the means for our center to continue to grow, even during this time when nothing seems right. So that when that new person walks through our doors with a broken heart or a wounded spirit, we are here with our love, with our compassion, our teaching, to give that person new hope and a fresh start to his or her transformation. The pandemic has presented challenges that we never dreamed of facing. Originally, at the very beginning, we stopped having regular services and held a socially distanced meditation time. It wasn't what we were used to, but we did create a place of connection. And John and Rosie were there holding the high watch as our practitioners. And we put our heads together to figure out other ways to connect. Heather, our practitioners, and I created a Zoom Sunday celebration so that we could be there for people who were not coming to the center. We put our Facebook page to work. Heather now provides inspiration through her music on her Wednesday night live concert series. Our practitioners have posted meditations on Facebook, as well as written and videoed affirmations on our website. We use Zoom for connections beyond our Sunday celebrations. Today we have on Tuesdays, we have Coffee with the Rev that crosses miles. And, Sandra Penny from Canada, she can't leave Canada. And she said that this connection has meant so much to her because it's her only connection with our center. And our guys are meeting, they're having their breakfast meeting on Zoom the first Saturday of every month. And our practitioners are teaching classes online. We also established a YouTube channel where we post our Sunday celebration, and we're connecting with people who have never been maybe even in the state of Arizona, let alone at our center. We're now averaging about 55 views per Sunday, but in the last 2 months, we've had 2 views of over 300 each. Can you believe that? And one over 100. So people are beginning to know who we are. We're beginning to make a difference in the lives of other people that we'll never meet. And I think that's pretty amazing. So when you and I open up to possibilities, the universe responds. There's a divine circulation that is always at work, always bringing us more of what we have claimed as ours. So as individuals and as a center, we need to be aware of what we are claiming. When the pandemic first hit and we had to rethink church as we knew it, I went through some bad times. I experienced frustration, anger, sadness, even a bit of depression. I didn't like sitting in front of my computer to do my talk. And I'll tell you, neither does any other minister. I didn't like the learning curve all these technical changes we're creating. But I also knew that as long as I claimed from frustration, sadness, anger, that would be my experience. So with some help from my friends, like Heather and Melinda, I began to see the possibilities to this technology, and rather than its difficulties. And so now we're not only providing the things I told you about, but we're finding even more ways to connect and be a beneficial presence in the world. And that includes, as Don mentioned, our Heart of the Matter first ever virtual telethon on Facebook. So if this pandemic has brought frustration to you as it did to me, I ask you to contemplate what you're claiming. As a matter of fact, even if it didn't, even if you're fine with it, what are you claiming right now? What is each one of us claiming for our lives right now? And if it isn't what we want to experience, how can those thoughts be changed so that we can see possibilities rather than disappointment? The president of a large railroad company was on an inspection tour when he encountered a laborer in a section gang with whom he had worked 40 years earlier. He greeted his old friend warmly, talked with him for a few minutes about the good old days, and then the laborer said to the executive, "Bert, you've come a long way from the time we were laying tracks together." And Bert replied, "No, Sam, that's not quite correct. You were laying tracks. I was building a railroad." So if we want to experience the best in any situation, then we need a mental equivalent of what that best is. We need to use our imagination, our curiosity, our vision. Bert didn't know exactly what that railroad he was building would look like, but he envisioned it, he imagined it, he maintained a mental, spiritual equivalent of it, and he saw himself involved in it. Sam, on the other hand, saw himself in a dead-end job of laying tracks. He didn't share his friend's dream or vision. Both men had a mental equivalent of what they manifested as jobs, as careers. The laborer could not see beyond his immediate situation as a track layer, and he had no vision that would carry him beyond what he was doing. The executive, when he began work as a track layer, saw the railroad completed. He saw the benefits of goods and people being transported across the country. And by providing that mental equivalent, by holding that vision, Spirit responded with opportunities for his growth and success. You know, when we make Jell-O, we pour it into some kind of a form. I remember my mom always having Jell-O molds, and we'd have these, we don't do it so much now, but we used to have these Jell-O molds that we'd always have Jell-O with dinner, you know, as a dessert or something. But the Jell-O conforms to the mold without question or argument. The Jell-O isn't concerned with whether it's a big mold or a little one, a pretty one, or an ugly one. It just simply complies with what it's been given. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, says all thought is creative according to the nature, impulse, emotion, or conviction behind the thought. Thought creates a mold in the subjective in which the idea is accepted and poured, and sets power in motion according to that thought. Ignorance of this excuses no one from its effects, for we are dealing with law and not whimsical theory. The emotion or conviction that Dr. Holmes talks about is our vision, our imagination, how much we believe in what we are saying or thinking. And that's our mold, that's our mental equivalent. And it will be filled according to our belief, according to the vision that we hold of that idea. So what are we holding? What vision are we holding for ourselves, for our center? Are we laying tracks, or are we building a railroad? Are we bogged down with what we think are the limitations caused by the pandemic? Or are we looking forward to the possibilities? Because what I am seeing for us goes beyond a building and a spiritual family that supports it. We will still be that. But I think we may be creating a global presence, something beyond our wildest expectations for our center. I don't know what it's going to look like, but together we can envision a more expansive presence in the world. And when we do get off track, we can remember that the universe is self-corrective and will lead us back the moment we listen to its inner guidance, because that's what spirit does. This is what it's programmed to do. You and I are blessed because our teaching calls us to think in possibilities, to hold the highest vision of good for ourselves, our center, and our world. And to know that not only are we empowered by this way of thinking and the actions that follow from it, but that we automatically empower others through our own example. You and I know that for any endeavor to be really successful, it must have both a spiritual and a physical component, a spiritual vision and the action that flows from that vision. Bert didn't have a vision of getting rich. He had a vision of building a railroad and providing good. That's the spiritual vision. He held a vision of a completed railroad, and he also said yes to the opportunities that were placed before him in the way of education, of job openings and promotions, those circumstances in the physical world that were generated by that vision. Ernest Holmes says, work, or action, without vision is drudgery, but vision without work is self-deception. We are well balanced when we can walk with our head in the clouds and keep our feet solidly planted on the ground. So you and I must have a feeling of this constant action and reaction, this divine circulation in everything that we think, say, and do. We must know that the vision we have set is in motion through our actions, and our actions are revitalizing our vision. One is constantly building on the other. One is constantly reinforcing the other. Dr. Holmes goes on to say, thought swings from contemplation into action, from prayer into performance. While there is in the innermost recesses of our soul a place which dwells in eternal stillness and inaction, there is also a place at the circumference of our being, which, animated by this inner principle, goes forth to accomplish. Thus alone can contemplation become fruition, and inner recognition, outer realization. You and I stand at a very important time in our history and in the history of our center. Yes, money matters, as it is the energy through which we accomplish our vision. But perhaps more important, and most important, is our willingness to see change as a new adventure, to envision a center both with and without walls, to not be daunted by the technological learning curve as we discover new ways of presenting ourselves and our teaching to the world. You know, we may have no idea of what this railroad we are building will look like, but together, as we swing from contemplation into action, from prayer into performance, we know that while money matters, it is truly you and me and the love that we share for our center and for each other that is at the heart of what truly matters. Thank you. Namaste.
Can I pray for you? What can I do to make it all go away? Should I talk to you? What would I say to make it all okay? It's not a feeling of guilt or obligation, or a matter of doing my part, where there's no pity in this soul of mine. just how I feel. It's a matter of the heart. I'm making way for you, but I know that you can't meet me there. What you're going through, I can't imagine the immense pain. It's not a matter of my own opinion, of the who's and the how's and the what's. You're my best friend through thick and thin. It's who we are, it's a matter of the heart. The day will come soon, I know, when you come around again. The dawn will break across your face of the tears and the fears and the could have been. Can I sing for you? What melody will ease your mind? I wanna scream and cry with you, but you're not picking up the phone this time. It's not a matter of acceptance, at least right now the hurt's too strong. What you're breathing through, I'll breathe with you. That's how I feel. It's a matter of the heart. It's a matter of the heart. That's a Heather O'Day original. Thank you so much.
Offering, so we are not taking a formal offering, but I've asked that you join me in our offering affirmation. And as we say it together, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, at the bottom of the video there is a line that says donate here. And so won't you take a moment and just consider a financial contribution to our center so that we can continue this work out into the world. And we thank you for your consideration. Okay, and for the rest of us, our offering affirmation. My gift goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless all that it touches. It is evidence of my conviction that God is the source and substance of my supply. I share generously of my good, knowing that it returns to me multiplied abundantly, and so it is. Okay. It's so beautiful to see so many faces here today. Thank you all for being here. And thank you for making our center what it is. We are so blessed. So let's take a moment to close out this service by simply acknowledging that there is one life, one mind, one love. We call it God. And that life and love animates everything, you and me. So that as we send our thoughts, as we claim who we are, and what we want, we know that the universe responds in love and in joy to return it back to us, multiplied, pressed down, and running over. So I give thanks for this day and for all the blessings in it. And I speak a word for those who are experiencing any kind of a challenge, to know that healing power of God is right where they are. So we take a moment simply to count our blessings, to know that we are loved and that we are loving, and to just know that all is good and very good, as we say together, and so it is. Thank you all so very much.
sing it with me now. My money is like a bunny, it goes forth and multiplies. I send it out, let it go, comes back to me in time. My joy is overflowing, I know God is my source. My money is like a bunny, it goes forth and multiplies. They say you can't take it with you when you go. No, so I'm gonna just enjoy myself. Go.